Hi. So today I'm going to talk about which topics are important if you want to self-study and you want to become a quant and find opportunities in the quantitative finance field. Which topics are important, and if self-studying, what are the things that you must learn? Right? It can be a bit confusing for newcomers. The ones who are just getting started or never worked in the industry in the quant finance industry. It can be a bit confusing, right? Even if you look at the syllabus of many of these quant finance programs, financial engineering programs or quant finance programs, you probably will find a lot of differences between these programs in terms of what is covered in the syllabus, right? And it's such a vast field, right? So to sort of zero in on what to study can be very, very difficult, right? So I'll break it down for you as to what how what are the things that you must focus on, right? Just to clarify that my view is that you should either enroll for a full-time master, or learn through a proper structured course and find a mentor rather than just learning on your own, although that is definitely possible. But learning from a formal degree program is better, but not everybody can afford a 2 year or a 1 year master program. But you can certainly afford maybe part-time courses, certifications. Find a mentor, I think that's better. But if you want to go for the third option, which is about studying on your own, that's quite possible actually. But you need to know actually where to start, what topics to learn, which topics not to learn, how to learn, right? All those things are very, very important, right? If you learn much like how you learn other topics, other subjects, it's probably going to be very difficult. Imagine you're coming from an engineering background, you have a computer science degree, you want to start computers, you want to study quantitative finance. You should not study the way you studied computer science. Computer science is a very academic field. There is clarity about what should be taught in a computer science program. That's not true actually. That's not the case in the case of quant finance, right? Quant finance means different to different people, right? Someone coming from derivative pricing side, for him quant finance could be different from someone who is from the sell side, quantitative research, or someone coming from quantitative research on crypto, someone coming from quantitative research on commodities, could be very different, right? Someone coming from the risk management side, for him quant finance could be very different, right? So without worrying too much about these jargons and the differences, I think there are some common topics you must always learn, especially for a beginner. You need to know the breadth, not the depth. You don't have to be an expert in just one area. Just know a bit about a lot of things, right? And be transparent about it. Don't try to be an expert in the interview. Don't try to portray yourself as an expert. You are not, and nobody is expecting you to be an expert. So it's fine not just to say that you're not an expert yet, and you have just studied a lot of books, and you have watched so many YouTube videos, listened to people, and worked out examples, and a bit about a lot of things in quant finance. If that is what you have done, that will really impress the interviewer. Nobody will, some people might ask you a bit in-depth questions, but don't worry about that. They are not going to judge you what you answer. They will judge you based on how you answer, whether you have, how you think actually. That's something people will assess. They won't be worried about what exactly is the answer. So don't, it can be a bit stressful actually in the interview, but don't worry about that, right? So let me tell you actually what are the things you should learn and how you should learn if you're learning on your own. Okay, so the thing is that uh, there's, it goes without saying that if you want to be a quant, you need to know some mathematics and statistics. If you do not know anything about mathematics and statistics, then please study it. Forget about quant finance. Just go and revise some statistical concepts and mathematical concepts. It could be high school mathematics such as calculus, real algebra, from high school statistics, but also some intermediate level or undergrad level statistics, right? Just take some statistics books, from BAC statistics. Okay, just go through some of that, right? You may not understand all the theory stuff, but just understand the most important concepts like sampling and all of that. Without having any knowledge of these two areas, I think it is impossible to become a quant. I mean, coding is secondary. Let me tell you. People put too much of importance to coding, especially nowadays. But if you talk to people who actually worked as quant 20, 30 years back, a lot of them didn't know how to code. Right? Or their knowledge of coding wasn't that great. So, and coding you can learn quickly, actually, right? Especially the mathematical coding. It's not a software engineering level coding, right? You are just going to do mathematical programming, which is, in my view, a bit easier, especially if you're comfortable with mathematics. But have knowledge of that. How you learn it, I don't know. But if you go through Khan Academy, right, they have really good videos on mathematics. There are many other areas also. Brilliant.org is one other site I really like. They have really good they are good examples, and they teach you in a fun ways. So that's really is good, right? You can go through their courses. Brilliant.org. It's not a sponsored video, by the way. It's just that I like them. All right. But once you're familiar with statistics and mathematics, right? Don't jump into any sophisticated modeling topic. Just learn more and more about finance. Finance again is very, very vast, right? It means different to different people, right? Some people call finance as more about valuation of assets. Some people call finance as corporate finance. Some people may call it accounting. Some people might call this is risk management. Some people might call it as economic research, macroeconomic. Finance means different to different people. Banking could be another area. So you don't have to specialize in any of them. Just know a bit about everything. Whatever I just mentioned, all these areas, just know something about them, right? Know something about valuations, corporate finance, risk management, banking, trading, and all of that, right? But primarily there will be two types of activities where you as a quant will be working, either in the trading side or in the lending side. There are two main areas, right? There could be different types of trading: commodity trading, option trading, maybe trading for short-term gains, but maybe long-term investment. But nevertheless, that's trading. And you have also the lending side, different kinds of lending. Corporate lending, within corporate lending could be large corporate lending or medium-sized corporate lending. You could be a project finance, commodity finance, object finance. You could also retail financing, retail SME financing, mortgages, credit card, home, the student loan, and so on. So there can be various types of lending. Know about these two areas very well. Okay, just read about these topics, right, from different books or videos, right? Good to know some accounting, good to know some risk management principles, good to know some basic concepts of finance, right? So again, don't go into the depth, just know a bit about a lot of things. When you start out, don't go into the depth. You can specialize later on, right? You can be specialist in one particular area when you work there for 3, 4, 5 years. But when you start out, don't try to be a specialist. Just know a bit. Knowing the jargons is very important. In finance, when you work, actually you realize that people use just far too many jargons, technical terms, right? And that might intimidate you a bit, especially if you're coming from non-finance background. So familiarize yourself with these terms. Otherwise, despite being a smart guy, you might feel a bit nervous actually talking to people. But once you're familiar with this jargons, technical terms used in the field of finance, you will be a lot more confident in your job, right? So anyway, so what are the topics that you must learn? So once you have some knowledge about bit about these areas, right, that I talked about, learn a bit about the different products and different types of markets: financial market, non-financial markets, how trading happens in financial market but also non-financial market, real estate market, for example. There also people do trading, but it's a different kind of trading, right? Okay. Learn about different financial assets, equities, commodities, currencies, interest rates, fixed income securities, options such as forward, future, all of that, right? Don't get into very details of it. Just understand the intuition. Just understand. Okay, these are also some of the things. These are contracts, nothing but this contracts, right? These are not physical assets, but good to have understanding of that, right? Derivative in particular is very, 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 very important actually. um, Derivative is quite important to understand, right? Because the understanding other financial assets can be bit easy, but understanding derivative can be bit more difficult. Well, nowadays a lot of people are doing option trading, so I assume that you understand some derivatives. But options are now being used for different purposes than they used to be. I mean, options are used for hedging actually, but and less about trading. But I think people know them that these are tradable assets for whatever reason. But okay. Right, so just learn certain things about them. Don't have to go into details of option pricing yet, but later on you can obviously go through about how to price option, how to value options, right? Mathematics behind it can be a bit difficult. You will be using some stochastic calculus, randomness of asset prices of assets, and how to model that through stochastic calculus, which is different from the normal calculus you have studied in schools. It's the word stochastic always relates to that there is a time component to it, right? So all that will be used. You'll be learning about the Ito's lemma and how to use Ito's lemma in order to use stochastic calculus for pricing of different options. Black-Scholes model is one popular one, but there are other models such as binomial model for option pricing. There are different types of options. Learn some of that. Okay. And what else you must learn, right? Okay, but don't spend too much time learning options, by the way, because you could be working in an area of quant finance that doesn't use options, right? But option pricing is very mathematical and very quantitative in nature. So if you can master that to some extent, I think that really will give you a lot of confidence. But if you're struggling with that, just move on. Don't stick around. That will discourage you from finishing things, right? So even if you don't understand certain things, just move on. Just learn a bit about it and move on. Okay. Learning about the interest rate products also. There are other derivative products also, such as swaps. Just learn about that. Learn about fixed income securities, the bonds, pricing of bonds, fitting yield curves or modeling yield curves. Right? Why is it even needed? Right? All that is important to learn. Convertible bonds, for example, you need to have understanding of what are they and how they are used. Don't go into details about different interest rate derivative pricing model, right? Can be very mathematical. I won't, if you're familiar with Black-Scholes, I think that should be fine, especially for a beginner. But there are also more models for option pricing. But you don't have to go into the details of interest rate related derivative and all that. There are also many sophisticated models there. Just have understanding of the different products available there. You don't have to go through the mathematics behind it. Understand risk management, the portfolio theory, modern portfolio theory. Just portfolio management. You study a lot of these things in corporate finance, so Aswad Damodaran is has got lectures on YouTube. Actually, you can watch some of his lectures to learn corporate finance. Uh, there you can learn some portfolio management theory. But for quant finance, actually, it can, you need to know in more quantitative way. Whereas many corporate finance lectures are more about the qualitative stuff. But it's good, for a beginner. That's enough. You don't have to worry about that. You know. Understanding of some market risk concepts like value at risk, stress value at risk, different types of value at risk, good to know. Understanding of credit risk, for example, regulatory requirement related to credit risk, what models are used. You don't have to go into details of development of these models. That can be a bit more difficult actually, but possible. For example, it's not very difficult to learn how to build a value at risk model through historical simulation, or through mean variance method. I mean, there are many ways in which you can build such models. But again, if you have limitation of time, just go through the concept. You don't have to be expert in that. Okay, and finally, learn something about the simulation techniques. Monte Carlo simulation. If you are familiar with Monte Carlo simulation, that will be quite useful. One other topic which is super important nowadays is that you must have understanding of machine learning and how to build machine learning models. So, study some standard machine learning book. Need not be in the field of finance. For example, the book by the Stanford University book, which is available free of cost, I think. That can be used. It's a wonderful book on elements of statistical learning, elements of statistical learning, or introduction to statistical learning. I think there are two books. You can learn from there. There is a very good book. Try to apply those concepts in the field of finance. I think that's one. Learn econometrics. Learn some econometrics concepts. Financial econometrics. You can buy some books on financial econometrics to learn. If you can learn some these things, these topics that I have just spoken about, I think that should be really good preparation for your first quant job. I can tell you that a lot of the quant, the people who actually come for quant interviews, many of them have no knowledge about these areas. So if you are if familiar with this concept, I think that will give a huge edge. Having said that, let me also tell you that self-study is always very difficult in anything you do in life. So if you can find a mentor, or you can do a structured course that has got all these things in that course, that's any day better. Saves you a lot of frustration, a lot of time, and it prepares you for it prepares you better, and you can be more confident in the interviews. But also after you enter into the field, you'll be more confident if you do something in a very structured way, right? But it's definitely possible to self-study also. That's quite possible. Many people have done that and then done that well. If you're good at that, I'm not, but many people are good at that, good at doing self-study. That's quite possible. Okay, I do have a course also. If you are interested, you can always reach out to me. I've tried to include all these concepts, in fact more than that, and you'll be learning most of the topics that I discussed in this video. And I assume that you are a complete beginner, and my intention is to prepare you for a career, a starting career in the field of finance, in quant finance, right? And even if you switch to other fields also, for example, you work in other fields in finance, you'll still find this training to be more good, to be quite useful and helpful. So all right, thanks as always. Thanks for watching, and for any questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comment section. You can also reach out to me. I have my email ID and WhatsApp number in the description. Thanks guys, see you next time. Bye.